Hello and welcome. Let's see. Oh, this day. What do we have? Whew. It's going to be a nutty weekend. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining me. It's Mary June Tracy. I'm a psychic medium, spiritual love of life coach. Thank you for watching, for those watching the replay, and coming on in. We are in some pretty funky energy this weekend. And I just wanted to tune in because I felt, because last night was pretty funky for me. I just got to say, last night was pretty funky for me. And it just, I don't know. Last night I was just in a weird funk. And I really was just sitting there. Usually Friday nights there's nobody home with me. So Friday nights are my evenings of there's nobody home. Hi Ashley and Tina and Amy. Hi Tamara and Melissa. It's they're an evening where I can sort of zone out. I zone out quite a bit. But anyways, when I zone out and there's nobody home, so I binge watch this, I don't know what a show, anyway, some show on Netflix, and sitting there. And it was just getting me, when you're watching a show, but you're not watching it, so you're not really paying attention to what was on. And I was thinking about a lot of the different elements that are going on and how, here in Calgary, I mean, the weather's just stupid. It's cold outside and it's, it's a chilly day still today. But how things are coming in and identification was one of the key things that came in, and about identifying self and identifying yourself, and the way that you identify yourself may not be the way that you want to be. If that makes any sense. So this, and as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about identification and identifying my own self and the way I'm looking around, and you think that you want this to be different, or you expect it to be different, but this Neptunian energy just keeps coming in. And because there's that illusionary energy, and with this, it is about looking at your identity, and it might not be the way the outside world wants you to look. And you're going through this, and the moon's going to be coming in. It's in Leo right now, but it's going to come in later tonight into Virgo. So we're going to have the moon in Virgo, and then we have these other elements, Jupiter and Venus, or Jupiter and Neptune, and they're both in their home signs, and they're both in mutable signs. They're both in this mutable, and then Virgo's mutable too. Right? You're feeling this? Oh, good. I'm not alone. Thank goodness. And this Virgo is trying to get us grounded. Virgos, they want to get us grounded, get organization, get things done. And then we have this energy of out there, this spiritual energy's out there, and it's pulling us in different ways. And it's pulling us in ways that, sometimes we're not understanding. And so this got me on because I don't do drugs, but I'm interested in them because I'm fascinated on how they work, right? And as I'm fast, looking into it, and then I'm finding that in Seattle and Tacoma they're doing ayahuasca journeys, and it's legalized because they found a loophole. The ayahuasca plant is not illegal, but there's a derivative of the ayahuasca plant, which is DMT, form is illegal, but it's become legal in some counties within the United States. Interesting. And of course, there's some countries that allow DMT to be legal. Now, what DMT or ayahuasca does, it is a spiritual journey. It takes you to the spiritual realm, and it really does a cleansing on the whole body. And it really cleanses out your whole system and bringing into that alignment. with people, with the universe, and opens up alternate it can open up alternate realities in that. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, I personally, I don't need to have that kind of shit, because I can get into alternate realities just by doing a meditation, or going on a drum journey, or even just starting to get into the astrology and into the planets and stuff like that. So I can really, for myself, it's been one of those things that I can always do, right? And that's because I I have quite a few planets in Scorpio in my chart. I think I have like 5 planets in my chart in Scorpio. So I'm really, I mean, when it comes to being a Scorpio, boom, here I am. So with that energy, so that taboo-ness, the taboo of Scorpio comes in, because we push the limits. We like to look, we like to explore, and we sometimes like to poke the bear. And I feel this energy with this square, this, I mean, this grand cross that's coming in, that's mutable. It's really getting us to poking the bear, or poking the energies that are out there in a very interesting way. And it's getting us to poke these energies and get into like an illusional way. And it changed lives. Oh, it does. I know many people have done it. I have quite a few clients who do it, and even do DMT on a regular basis, you know. But it's, again, when I look at their chart, I can see them actually, because it comes in with their alignment, and it's really crazy when I look at their natal chart. And as I look in their natal chart and how they work in this world, but their Uranus is really out there for exploration, for expansion, and they need to get into that expansion of the alternate worlds, and then they bring it back down into, and then they have this weird groundedness within them, and they bring it back into the grounding of this earth. So there, it's quite interesting to see people's charts, and when you look at natal charts, and you get to understand why certain people you know have mental illness. And this is where this energy is coming in too, because this energy, is really interesting, because it's kind of like it's going to take you into these alternate worlds, this delusional world of what you might think this looks like. So for instance, you might have an idea of how your house is supposed to look like, but then you have kids and there's toys everywhere, and that's like, oh my god, that's not how I want my house to look. But there's toys and there's shit all over the place, and every time you clean it up, it just comes back. And it's just not the way that you want it to be, but it is in reality, because Virgo comes in and brings in reality. In reality, this is just the way it is. And so you begin to say, okay, if this is just the way it is, I can live with that. I can, it's okay. It's okay. And it's to get ourselves into that. It's okay. It's okay that this is the way it is right now. So we don't go off that crazy cliff. And the crazy cliff, what happens, especially with this Grand Cross and this Jupiter, because Jupiter used to rule Pisces, okay, before Uranus, or before they found it Neptune. So Jupiter ruled it. So they're opposite right now. And he's like, well, I used to rule you, so there's this pull, this expansion, this energy that's trying to expand us and open things up. And if you're not grounded in some form, this crazy expansion that's coming forth can take you on a fucking loop, can take you out into la la land, into loopy land, where it's hard for you to come back. And this is where it's vitally important that if you're finding that you're getting crazy thoughts or crazy feelings, it's to reach out. It's to talk to a friend, talk to somebody, a therapist, or call a hotline, or what have you. This is what this energy, will take you. It'll take you crazy, radical, and shifts, and bring in a lot of fears, right? and bring in that crazy fucked up energy. And yeah, you have crazy dreams, and yeah, you got to stay grounded. It is, but sometimes it gets where, if up here, if there's things that are going up in your mind, if there is a chemical imbalance there, it almost where it'll heighten that balance. It'll heighten it. So it's kind of like where, um, how the full moon can really cause a lot of psychosomatic energies to come in and have people go off, and emergencies and everything are really full. This energy is coming in, and it's almost even more intense because of these poles, and the Neptune sun squared in Gemini is being pounded. Neptune, the sun is saying, I can't move very fast. Neptune is saying, I can't move very fast. So we're going to just pound each other. So it's like this vibration coming in, and it's like boom, 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 boom. And we're like, okay, what is this? What is this crazy? It's like this, you don't need to escape it. You don't need to need anything extra, because you have this poundedness. Now for me, it's like the meditation or something and things like that. I actually had couple glasses of wine last night, because it just actually, I just needed to get out of that thought process, to sort of, and it's like it was a numbness to get into that. Okay, I just need to not go into crazy land, right? It's been about a year since I've remembered one, and it was last night. Haha. So that Neptunian energy is coming in, and bringing that, radical shifts. And Pluto, Saturn, sometimes is bringing in a lot of, like this sucks. And Mars on this north node, I mean, Mars being there on that north node is really driving things, driving things in. So we have this energy of shifting, and we're coming into this where we need to find, if we stop and be still, if we stop and be grounded, we find our true mind, our true selves. And it's not as heavy as what we actually think it is. Right? Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, I mean, things like in my chart, where Saturn is in Aquarius, right? In my chart, and I think it's the 10th house. And being there, and that, when it comes to education, no, I need to be a self-learner, right? I don't need to, and it's funny, I always said that. It's like, people go to school, but they don't have the experience of life. And I think it's so important to have the experience of life, the experience of understanding, in order, and then bring in the education to go on top of it, so that it's not just, okay, this is what the book says, and then you get out there, and then that's not how life is. That's not how people are, when it comes to, because I love to study psychology and sociology. So, which made sense with Saturn there. But I'm very much, and I oppose, things to do with authority. Weird. And anything that has to do with authority. So I really don't want to deal, like, if somebody wants to be authoritative on me, I oppose it. I will fight it. I go into an opposition, because I go into a challenge mode, and that's in my chart. And I've always been that way, but I'm becoming more and more. And I find that it's become, yeah, I know, it's so shocking, isn't it, Melissa? So shocking. She opposes authority. You know, this opposition, and then it comes down to the foundation of religion. And why is it about religion, right? What is it that, yes, there's a foundation there. So this energy that's coming in, this energy that's coming in for us, is getting us to look at our foundations, look at what it is that we are doing, and how that affects our spiritual world. Because this energy of spirituality is coming in to really have us look at our reality based, what is in reality. And there's a lot of parts of reality that is making it so heavy, whether it's political, whether it's environmental, whether it's other parts there, that are coming in, and we look at it, and sometimes it feels like doom and gloom. So I want to escape. I want to leave. I don't want to be involved in this, right? So this is where, but if we come into our true mind, our true self, and we start to just breathe, then we find it's not as heavy. We find that as you think it, and you think of this reality, it doesn't seem as bad as what we think it is. Thanks, guys. We don't think it is as bad as what we actually um, see it. And with Venus, going into Gemini, I mean, that's cray cray. I mean, Venus goes into Gemini, she's just all over the place. And, she just came out of being in home, and now she's like, oh, well, she's in this mutable air. She's moving all over the place. And the sun is in there, right? And the sun is just, going back and forth, and just putting this energy out there. And when the sun starts, penetrating, our illusions, it starts to burn things off. It starts to bring things in, and we start to look at things in a different way, in a different light. And that's what I think is so cool about this um, energy that's coming in. Is it's pressure cooking our soul to get it open, to get us into that. When you have a pressure cooker, if any moms used to use pressure cookers, you know gotta love the pressure cooker. But it's that pressure cooker that we're in, and that you have that little thing on the top, and it's just like rattling. Pressure cookers used to scare the shit out of me, because my mom always told me that they would explode. So you have this pressure cooker of energy that's coming in, right? So this pressure cooker of energy that's coming in, and it's like, okay, when do we open it? Because you don't want to open it too soon, because it's like, so it's coming in, and it's allowing ourselves to sit in that pressure cooker, to feel that energy. And we may not like everything that's going on around us. We might not like, we might have to say you're going on a trip to cross country. So you're going on a trip cross country, right? And you have to pull over, and you have to use the bathroom. So if you have to use the bathroom, that means that you have to go into an outdoor bathroom. You got to go into those little latrines in the middle of a park, right? Well, that's not exactly maybe where you want to go, but you have to go. You have to go. You have to go in there. Otherwise, you're going to have to go in the bush and do your duty, right? So you have a choice. You're going to go out in the middle of the bush, or you're going to have to go into this outdoor bathroom. And it's going to be smelly and stinky, and the buzz and the flies are bzzz, and but you got to go in there and do your thing. And that's where this pressure cooker's got. You just got to go in there, and you got to do your thing. You might not like everything that's around you, but okay, just for right now, I got to sit with this. Sit with this crazy radical shifts, and take a look at it, and feel where I need to be going. See, we're getting back into those feelings. And that's with Neptune, in about, well, the 21st or 22nd, Neptune goes retrograde. So we're going to have Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter retrograde. And we also have Mercury's going retrograde next month. So we're going to have at least 6 planets, all in retrograde. So we have this energy of, okay, we got to start reassessing, reevaluating what it is that we need to look at, whether that comes into our financials, whether it comes into our relationships, when it ever comes into whatever's going on. But the energy that's coming in this weekend with this grand cross, and it's a grand one, and it's in mutable, it's just switching things all up. And if we're not mentally stable, it can fuck us up in some crazy ways. It can really get us thinking some really, suicidal thoughts. It can get us thinking thoughts that, will endanger ourselves, because we're sitting in a pressure cooker, and everything around us is seeming dull and gloomy and gross, and but we're being offered and saying, hey, it's going to be okay, but this is what, this is what we got right now for you. And Uranus is saying, just trust. I'm taking you into a new world. I'm taking you into a new reality. But we got some shit to clean up here. We got stuff to clean up here. And if you need to go see a therapist or a psychologist or a psychotherapist or whatever, if you need to get that extra help, then definitely do it, because I think any form of therapy and getting any form of guidance is on a plus side. Like, even, because I do coaching and stuff like that, even booking in, getting coaching sessions set up with me, it's getting you into that alignment of spirituality, right? Because a lot of us are running into this fake society right now. We are in heightened feast or famine. We're in this mode of constantly where things are just going nutty. And, we're waiting for that next shoe to drop. We're waiting for that, yeah, be prepared for the enlightenment. It may not be always pretty. No, it's not always pretty. This is why it's like when people think, oh, I want to be enlightened, it's cool, but it's not always a field full of flowers. There's things sometimes you have to trudge through. There's obstacles you have to overcome. And that's where this is coming in, to say that, okay, yeah, well, spiritual, being on this spiritual journey, being on this earth walk, there are things in here that aren't always pretty. There are things here that you have to overcome, you have to face, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. And there's things in there in our mind, and how our mind is functioning and working may not, might take us on Loopyville ride, and take us out of function for a bit, or take us where we don't want to go or tread. So the Grand Cross is coming in and saying, it's taking you on this nutty ride right now, so that you just need to sit still. You need to sit still. So take care this weekend, really, especially with this Grand Cross, because it is going to cause some crazy bumps in the road. And if you are feeling low, if you are feeling that you need to reach out and talk, definitely, if you feel suicidal, if you're feeling it right down into that rabbit hole of Alice in Wonderland, then reach out and get a hold of somebody and talk to them, and maybe get that professional help that you need, and reach out in that matter. If you're needing a reading, or if you're needing coaching sessions and stuff, definitely reach out. Let's book you in. Let's get you going, right? Tomorrow is protection seminar. Yes, it is tomorrow. Yes, I'm going to be sending that a link out to you all just now. So for those who have signed up for the spiritual warfare, it's going to be on Zoom, and feel the dip in the energy. It was nuts. Yeah. And it's just, we're not even in it. We're just diving in. Like, some people will feel it a few days beforehand and a few days after. And then as we're going through it, we're just like, whoa, we're going in this ride. So the spiritual warfare is tomorrow afternoon from 1 to 4. And there will be notes and everything that you will be receiving. You'll get the recording also. So definitely join me for that. It's $50. And it's going to be on Zoom. And we're going to talk about, the universal triple protection. I'm going to talk about what the triple protection is. We're going to bring in the Christ consciousness energy and what Christ consciousness energy is. And you can change, the thing is that in this, you can change the words if you truly want to change the words if they don't align for you. But we're going to talk about different ways of raising your vibrations, and how to raise the vibrations within your own self with different mantras, different prayers, and in doing those different prayers and how they vibrate within us. And we are going to be bringing in Master Hilaron, I'll explain who that is, Master Saint Germain, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, Jesus, and the seven angels, the seven archangels that are quite present within our world right now. And so we're going to be bringing, that energy in and talk about what they do and the violet fire. So this energy of how we can start to step into this on a day-to-day basis, because when we look at this energy that's coming in now, we need that extra protection around us, because there are other stuff that goes on around that could, influence us, right? In many different ways, and influence us in a positive way, could influence us in a negative way too, because there is, a lot of times people don't like what you do. So, do I do, this is something I do every day, do my cleansing, my clearing, my cutting of cords. It's something that is done on a regular basis, because it helps me to keep grounded, it helps me to keep focused. And not saying I don't have those low moments and those crazy moments, I do. And I noticed, like, since that full moon in Scorpio and that new moon that we just had in Gemini, yeah, it's throwing me for some crazy loops, and then really testing me in what I'm doing. And it takes me to some really low points. And so having a spiritual practice and having protection is very important, because it's really for myself, with a lot of this energy that's coming in, it's been very trying for me on continuing doing what I do. And it really brings in a lot of questioning, and me questioning um, everything I do. And I love what I do. So it's like it's this balancing of it all. And this is for me, the cards that I got today were rebirth, magic, and innocence with a unicorn. It is a rebirthing. And you think that, oh, well, I've already gone through a rebirth a few years ago. Well, sometimes you go through a rebirth, sometimes every year, because there's so much energies, there's so much newness that is coming in, right? And for myself and the work and doing this work, it's like sometimes I just, it would be easier to walk away, it feels like. It feels like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, because I'll walk away from it. Let me find an easier route. And I've seen spiritualists do that, because when you start really walking this road, working with the spirit, working, and especially with the astrology, and you start working with the astrology, you really start to see the different energies, and oh, well, this hasn't happened in this sign before, and what does that mean? And it it is where you have to go into and sit in the pressure cooker. And it feels like you're in a pressure cooker, and you feel like, oh my God, I just need to get the fuck out of here. And for some people, getting the fuck out of here and the escapism, and that's why, for a lot of kids, suicide is on the rise. That's why there's a lot of mental illness on the rise, because we are not prepared to deal with a lot of this. A lot of kids aren't prepared, or they're not brought up in a foundation of bringing in a foundation of spirituality, bringing in a foundation of prayer, bringing in a foundation of meditation. That's why in some schools now they're starting morning with meditation. But then, doing that causes conflict, because if you're a devout Christian of a certain sect of Christianity, they don't believe in meditation. Don't bring my child into meditation, because they might bring in something evil. So then we're dealing with different levels of belief systems that come in. That's great that we want to bring it in, but you got to understand, not everybody believes in meditation, or the understanding of what meditation is. So then there's a whole educational piece, and this is where things are starting to get mucky, right? Because we have this new energy that wants to come in to help, to guide us, but then there's these old belief systems that are saying, I was told that's bad. I was told that's not a good thing. And I'm not going to have my children. It's just like I remember years ago, and in public school, we had the Our Father every morning. And we said the Our Father, and there was a few kids that left and they were the Jehovah Witness children. I didn't understand why they had to leave. I mean, they could still hear it in the hallway, for Christ's sake. But they had to leave because it wasn't a part of their foundation, right? But we said the Our Father every morning. And to me, in saying that, or saying a prayer as a group or as a school, was raising a vibration. When you're coming together and you're raising that vibration, right? We pray every morning before class, yeah. And then you go into the Christian schools or the Catholic schools, it's just a regular thing. Over the announcements, you say the Our Father in the morning and the Hail Mary. And, it helps to raise, and you bringing in that community. Now, you can change the words to that if you wish. You can change the words into how you want to feel, because maybe you have, and this is why, with my spiritual warfare, some of the words I'm going to be using in that may, because you're like thinking of the dogma. Because you're still caught up in the dogma. You're still caught up in the old way of thinking. And that's where this energy is coming in and shaking us up. It's because it's getting you out of the old shit, old dogma, old belief systems, and putting us into something new, putting us into a new way of thinking, and knowing that our true minds, our true selves are okay. Because we're coming back to that essence of the soul. And when we come back to that essence of the soul, we come back into that harmony, into that peace, and that love of that trueness, of that light, of who we are as human beings. But this is whole radical changes that are coming in. And this is why, a lot of the recreational drugs are coming in, right? Recreational drugs are coming in so people can get escaping when they're trying to reach out for something else. And for some, that's not a good thing, because they're not prepared to deal with what those drugs can do. And some of these are very natural. Ayahuasca is natural. Peyote is natural. Marijuana is natural. Opiates are natural. Poppies. Cocaine is natural. These are natural substances within our world. Mushrooms are natural. Now you can say, oh, it's natural, but not everything natural has to be used within respect and love of what it is. Anything in obsessive, chocolate's natural, coffee's natural, tea's natural. I mean, eating too much, sugar's natural. It's found. But if you eat too many bananas, what's going to happen? It's a natural substance. Why can't I eat 100 of them? Not always good. You can eat 100 carrots, but it's not, you're going to turn orange, if you eat too many because of the carotene in it. But there are things that we have that we need to understand more, that we need to be able to respect in utilizing it. And, do I believe in the legalization of these? Yeah, I do. Because in the legalization of them means that we bring into an understanding, and we bring in an education. When we illegalize something, when we take something away and something out and say, you can't do this anymore, then what happens is that, well, I want to do that. Why can't I do that? It's just like prohibition when they outlawed alcohol. I mean, what did that do? That brought in the mafia. The mafia became big because of prohibition, because of an illegal substance. And they still, like the prohibition was in Canada and the United States, that, I mean, the White House had guys driving up with their things of whiskey for the president because he was absolved from it. And same up here in Canada. I mean, we had tunnels going back and forth to the United States, to bring in alcohol, because there were some provinces that allowed it and some provinces that didn't. So there's an understanding of what it is, an understanding of what the what everything is, and we bring in that education and come out of the fear. So we come out, so we're all in this pressure cooker, getting this information and pressure cooking us, and some of us just want to get the fuck out and they're going to blow the top off. So of course everything just gets all scattered, right? But we're coming into a time where we have to understand. We have to understand that there is this mental component that's coming forth, and not everybody here on this earth walk gets it. So you might have where you have this beautiful child who comes into this family who's a very strict orthodox religion or a strict fundamentalist. And here comes this child who is, this Neptunian, born with Neptune and in Neptune in Cancer, Capricorn. That's a lot of the millenniums. Or, with this Neptune in Capricorn, they can't handle this world. They can't handle this world because they were born with this Neptune energy of there's something else. But they're born into a world that says, no, you got to think like this. And their mind isn't. So that sector of the millenniums and the Generation X, high suicide rate. High suicide rate. Because it's hard for them to deal because we are still running on an old regime, on an old understanding. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot for us to bring in that newness. And I see so many people wanting to promote the meditations and everything in schools, and I promote it, but it has to come with an education, because not every kid is going to be involved with that, because we're running on an old regime and there are people that don't believe in it. And so that's where the education comes in. That was my tangent on a soapbox. But it's true, and that's where this energy is coming in. It's coming in, kicking us in the butt to wake the fuck up and start getting into our true mind and our true self. If we can get into our true mind and our true self, then we can start really allowing and understanding why other people don't get it and have a conversation. Pope Francis just had a conversation and sat down with the top leader of the Muslim religion. Wow. Wants to have a talk. Let's have a talk. Pope Francis is fabulous. I just love him. Because he says, let's have a conversation. We got to talk about this, because it's not just about, because there is only one being, one universe. There's only, right now for us, in our reality, in our world, there's only one universe. So we are all connected with this one universe. And there's the sun, which is our heart, that activates it all. And if we fuck up that sun, or we fuck up that heart, which activates us all, out of this whole great big corpse that we're walking in, if we fuck up that heart center within our own being, what happens to the world around us? So we got to come back to our true self. We got to come back to that true mind. And yeah, it could be heavy and it could be crazy with a little of the energies, but we got to come back to it. And if we're not willing to work at it, then the top of our pressure cooker is going to be all fucked up, and there's going to be a huge mess in the kitchen. And I don't want to clean up the mess, because it's not a good mess. But you'll have to clean up your own mess, because you're not. And Saturn is lead. It is the energy of lead. It is the lead into gold, but it is the alchemist, and it's slow in moving. Neptune, delusional, alternate realities, wants to take us to somewhere else. And Saturn and Pluto are down there and saying, no, we got to do this in a structured formality so that we have the stability of it all. And we can look around and see it. The thing is that, for Trump, you might not like him. He's a human being. He has light. He has a soul. Really, he does. And the thing is that you might not like him, but you know what? He sure in the hell is shaking things up. He sure in the hell is shaking things up. He sure in the hell is really fucking people up and making them think. You don't like his tweets? I'm sorry. The Constitution of the United States says freedom of speech. Why should he be muffled? right? I mean, his tweets aren't always the best, but why should he be muffled? There's a freedom there. Same with us in Canada. There's a freedom there. So why should we be muffled? People don't like it because they're getting shooken up. People don't like it when we're changing the old regime. That's the energy that's coming in. They don't like it because he speaks his mind and he calls people names. And then we're thinking to ourselves, okay, that's not politically correct. You're not saying that he has the best mentality sometimes. There's some things that are a little bit screwy there. But as a human being and as a soul, I mean, he's been wanting, the thing is that for him, if you want about manifestation, you go back to 1989. He's been wanting to run for president since then. Since 1989, he's been saying, I want to be the president of the United States. So this isn't something that he came in and said, hey, I'm going to run for the president of the United States. He's been working at it for a long time. That's what he's been wanting to do. And in his chart, if you look at his chart, it's really interesting. You see the alignments coming in for him to do it. And if you looked at Hillary's chart at the same time and her alignments were all out all over the place. It wasn't her time. She missed it. Do I think Trump will get in? I think there's a lot of health issues that are going to be coming in with him over the next little while, over the next year or so, that are going to make it. And I think there's going to be a player that's going to come in that is going to be totally unexpected, and that's going to change the course. And there's going to be an energy that's going to come in, a person that's going to come in the opposition that's really going to change the course of how things and for the running. So it's going to be an interesting year next year in 2020 and how things are changing. But this is where this energy is. The energy is bringing in this change. Same with, our prime minister. People don't like him, but he's bringing in these changes that are shaking us up and that are making us think. He's bringing up issues that have not been brought up by other prime ministers. And that's what he's doing. And just allowing us to say, hey, wake the fuck up. Come on, people, let's get going. So there's a lot of things that are coming in. And when we go back to, the children that were born with their Neptune and Capricorn, which are the millennium children, it's a hard walk to walk for them. And a lot of times people they have all these self-deserving and all this other things out there. But when you look at it, it's just like, oh my God, you guys came in to shake us up, to wake us up. You had to. And some of them are like, and they're, as I posted a few weeks ago or last week, a few weeks ago, that my kids have been to more funerals than weddings. And that's because they're from that Generation X, that millennium, because a lot of their friends have either committed suicide and they've gone to a lot of funerals. Like my daughter, I think, has gone to like 5 or 6 funerals. Like I went to, maybe it was my aunts and uncles who were like in their 80s and 90s died. Those are the funerals I went to. Weren't suicidal ones for young people. So this is huge wake up for us all. And us taking that stand and taking a stand within the world around us and saying, okay, there is something going on. It's sad. It is. It's horrific. Because the one funeral that what Olivia just went to, she just talked to the girl 2 weeks ago. And she said to me, Mom, I didn't know there was anything wrong with her. And I said, you never know what's going on in somebody's mind. Never. You don't. You don't know what's going on in theirs. Robin Williams, you didn't know what was going on in his mind. You think he was the most successful man. He got his accolades. He got everything. But when that cancer, I think it was the sun in Cancer, and the moon was just at the last degree, is exactly when that sun went in. It was the day he killed himself. Just crazy. Crazy. But he was a Leo. A lot of Leo rising and stuff like that have a lot of problems in dealing with this world and dealing with the world around us, and how to explain it to the rest of them, because they see things in different ways. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I just got up on my thing about somebody else about banishing negativity. So yeah, so it is. You're going to see more and more of it, of people posting and doing classes about how to banish negativity and how to do protection and how to bring in that grounding and that true mind and that true self. sending you guys off with so much love today, so much love. And, bringing in peace and joy into your world and allowing for that peace and joy to come into your world. So take a moment, put your hands over your heart and take a deep breath in and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Just suspend your breath for a moment and release. And just think of all that beautiful oxygenated air that's coming into your cells, and it's there for you. It's coming in, it's oxygenating, it's purifying, and as you breathe out, you're taking away any old thoughts, old impurities that are no longer in your alignment. So take a few moments today and just sit and breathe and breathe. Call in the angels, call in Michael, Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel. Call in Jophael, Shamuel, and Zedkiel to watch over and bless you along your way, along with the Divine Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, the Lord Jesus Christ, and the Master Hilaron and the Master Saint Germain to watch over and bless us all upon this earth walk. Because you know what? We're going to be needing that energy. We're going to be needing that guidance and that protection as we go forth, because there's going to be conversations that are going to be had that a lot of people don't want to hear. Have a blessed one, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.